Good evening. My name is Marissa Guerra Lopez, and today I will be reviewing using circumscribed interest in learning to decrease elevator related verbal redirection in a 5-year-old with autism. The National Library of Medicine defines fixed interests as highly restricted interests that are abnormal in intensity or focused. In ABA, this phenomenon is also known as circumscribed interest. It is a symptom in children with autism, and it's known to be difficult to extinguish since the behavior remains stable over time and it doesn't diminish with age. The rationale behind my study is that using circumscribed interest in instruction may reduce perseverated speech and reduce verbal redirection because the child's attention is already captured by their circumscribed interest. So when we implement the circumscribed interest into the lesson, the child is also more motivated to learn. I used an A-B single subject research design because it showed a clear and direct comparison between baseline and intervention conditions. The purpose of this study was to evaluate the effects of circumscribed interests instruction on fixation behaviors and the frequency of verbal redirection in a 5-year-old with autism. Our materials and methods were pretty straightforward. We have Sibion, who's our only participant. He is a 5-year-old with autism spectrum disorder, and the study takes place in his kindergarten special education class. The materials we used was an iPad, CI-related worksheets, one whiteboard, one marker, and one neutral non-CI related worksheet. The dependent variables were the frequency of elevator-related perseverated speech and the number of redirections required during instructional tasks. The independent variable was the intervention, which was the implementation of circumscribed interest instructional activities involving elevators. In our baseline procedure, Sibion receives social praise and attention when he does not perseverate on elevators but requires continued verbal prompting to redirect his behavior. Intervention procedure phase 2, Sibion will receive circumscribed interest related elevator material and elevator stickers with verbal praise after completing each task without having to be redirected. Our results showed that incorporating Sibion's elevator interest into learning sessions reduced verbal redirection. Baseline redirections were high, with the mean being 19, median 19, mode 18, and all baseline data fell within the stability envelope of 15.2 to 22.8, indicating a stable baseline. After the CI-based intervention, redirections dropped immediately by 10 points during the first session and continued declining to 1 by the final session, showing a clear downward trend. The results suggest that incorporating Sibion's circumscribed interest in learning sessions effectively reduced verbal redirection, and the immediate decrease following the intervention continued a downward trend across sessions, indicating that the CI-based instruction can be a useful strategy for managing perseverated speech in Sibion's case. The limitations were a lot, actually. We had only a single participant, so that limited generalization, meaning that we can't for sure say that this would work on every child with autism. It may also not apply to other children with autism with different circumscribed interests or abilities. The AB design is also has a limited experimental control, and it's because the reason for that is because it's AB and not AB. We don't have the application of another baseline or another phase 2, for example. It was a short intervention, so we do not know the long-term effects or whether his interest in elevators might fizzle out at some point. And then our classroom factors were very uncontrolled in the sense that maybe peers were giving him a little extra attention and he wanted to be even more motivated to do his work correctly. Those were the uncontrolled factors. Teacher behavior also 100% influenced these results, as a teacher could easily choose not to redirect Sibian, and that would affect our data greatly. Also, effects outside of learning are unknown. We don't know if this affects any other kind of behaviors or way that he acts after the intervention. In conclusion, using Sibian's circumscribed interest in elevators during the learning session was associated with a clear reduction in verbal redirection. CI-based instruction showed promise as an individual strategy to support engagement and reduce perseverated speech in not children with autism, just Sibian. Future studies with more participants and longer interventions are needed to confirm and generalize these findings. Thank you.